Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. The long river of history, having gone through countless changes, has washed away innumerable dynasties. However, each transition was filled with political struggles of life and death, survival and extinction. Yet, the fall of the Qing Dynasty brought a different kind of ending. The feudal system completely disappeared from China. Even later, figures like Zhang Sun and Yuan Shikai, who tried to restore the monarchy, failed to realize their ambitions. The fall of the Qing Dynasty was like a heavy door quietly closing, while the door to a new era for China was swung wide open. However, who should be held responsible for this chapter of history? Many people might immediately think of Empress Dowager Cixi, who held power for a long time and compromised and humiliated herself in front of foreign powers. However, in the memoirs of the last emperor of the Qing dynasty, Puyi, another truth was revealed. He believed that the true culprit behind the fall of the Qing dynasty was Yikuang. So, who was he? And why did he play such a crucial role in the transformation of history? Let us now explore further. For most people, Yikuang may be an unfamiliar name. Compared to him, the fame of Emperor Qianlong is undoubtedly much greater. Although Qianlong had some controversies in his later years, his governing ability and wisdom in his youth led the Qing Empire to an unprecedented prosperity during his reign. Unfortunately, Qianlong's talents did not pass down to his descendants. Yikuang was the great-grandson of Qing Emperor Gaozong, Zhou Hongli, Qianlong. Although Yikuang came from a distinguished background, holding a noble title as a prince, and was deeply favored by Empress Dowager Cixi, his personal abilities were not outstanding, far from reaching the level needed to save the fate of the empire. According to some historical records, Yikuang's rise to prominence came from a chance opportunity when he was invited to attend a banquet in the imperial palace. At that time, Yikuang was just an ordinary prince. But he knew that attending such a banquet was extremely important, both for him personally and for his family. Therefore, he prepared meticulously, strictly following royal etiquette, and entered the palace door in a modest yet dignified manner. At the banquet, the most honored position was occupied by Empress Dowager Cixi. She looked down upon all the guests and suddenly suggested, "Would you mind showcasing some of your talents? A simple banquet might be too boring." Her words were like a bombshell dropped in the room, causing a sudden silence. Everyone knew that the imperial command could not be disobeyed. But standing up to perform without knowing if they could satisfy Empress Dowager Cixi's taste could lead to unimaginable consequences. Under this pressure, the atmosphere at the banquet became heavy and oppressive. Then, Yikuang stepped forward and broke the deadlock. His boldness made Empress Dowager Cixi look at him with newfound respect. Yikuang humbly said, "My talent is not worth mentioning, I have some skill in calligraphy. If the Empress Dowager is interested, I am willing to offer a humble performance." His words were modest, yet he was clearly well prepared. He carefully arranged his writing tools, then took up the brush. His calligraphy, full of life and beauty, flowed onto the paper with power. Empress Dowager Cixi praised him repeatedly after seeing it. From that moment on, Yikuang's status in her heart began to rise. Thus, with his talent and wit, Yikuang won the favor of Empress Dowager Cixi. From then on, he found himself in an environment where he was constantly admired, with everyone in the imperial palace respecting him. This was the norm in court life. Like the wind, one must adapt to the situation in order to survive. Because Yikuang's favor with Empress Dowager Cixi deepened day by day, it brought him considerable gains. The political center of the imperial court began to slowly shift from Cixi's hands to Yikuang. Anyone with ambitions for power soon realized one crucial fact: in order to earn Cixi's favor, one first had to go through Yikuang. One official, eager to climb to higher positions, proactively sought to win Yikuang's favor and personally visited his residence. His initial visit was unsuccessful because his gifts were too shabby, and failed to catch Yikuang's attention. That time, Yikuang coldly dismissed him, leaving the official deeply ashamed. However, this official did not get discouraged. Instead, he learned the proper way to approach Yikuang. The next time, he returned, bringing a large load of gold, silver, jewelry, and rare antiques. This time, he was warmly welcomed, and his request caught Yikuang's attention. Yikuang promised to speak on his behalf during an upcoming audience with Empress Dowager Cixi. The official left with a beaming face. Not long after, his wish was granted. Such scenes occurred repeatedly, and Yikuang, feeling proud, came to monopolize these corrupt benefits. Later, according to insiders, Yikuang not only accepted various bribes but also frequently embezzled funds from the state treasury while handling official matters. For example, when Empress Dowager Cixi instructed him to prepare food for the New Year's banquet, he eagerly accepted the task. Not only that, he also seized the opportunity to greedily pocket most of the funds meant for the purchases. Furthermore, the merchants he cooperated with would offer him substantial kickbacks, meaning that the benefits Yikuang gained far exceeded the actual expenses for the banquet. Yikuang's reckless spending caused most of the state treasury's wealth to end up in his own private vault. Although Empress Dowager Cixi understood Yikuang's actions, she turned a blind eye due to his smooth talk and obsequious attitude. Thus, Yikuang's reckless extravagance and greed led the finances of the Qing Dynasty into an abyss. As the last emperor of the Qing Dynasty, Puyi, knowing some details about Yikuang's corruption but having no real power, harbored an extreme disdain for him. He often expressed his strong dislike for Yikuang to many ministers and directly pointed out his vile conduct. After the death of Empress Dowager Cixi, Yikuang lost his protector, and his influence began to rapidly decline. In his memoir The First Half of My Life, Puyi described Yikuang's corrupt actions in detail. Puyi firmly believed that without Yikuang's existence, the downfall of the Qing dynasty would not have come so quickly. Thus, in the popular perception, the fall of the Qing dynasty is often attributed to Empress Dowager Cixi. However, as someone directly involved, Puyi had a deeper understanding. In his view, the downfall of the Qing dynasty was closely tied to Yikuang's actions. To Puyi, Yikuang, as a treacherous minister, was the true driving force behind the Qing dynasty's destruction. According to related historical records, Aizen Joro Puyi, whose childhood name was Wuge, was the last emperor of the Qing dynasty. In 1908, the 34th year of the Guangxu reign, at just 3 years old, Puyi was placed on the throne. And his father, Zifeng, served as regent. However, just 3 years later, in 1911, the Xinhai Revolution broke out, and the Qing dynasty's rule was on the verge of collapse. The following year, on February 12, 1912, under the pressure of the revolutionary tide, Puyi was forced to abdicate, marking the official end of the Qing dynasty. Although no longer emperor, Puyi still lived in the Forbidden City, enjoying the preferential treatment granted by the Republic of China government to the Qing royal family. However, this favorable treatment was not stable. In 1917, the warlord Zhang Sun attempted to restore the Qing dynasty and support Puyi's restoration. But this only lasted for 12 days before failing. In 1924, General Feng Yuxiang launched the Beijing coup and completely abolished the title of Great Qing Emperor, expelling Puyi from the palace. After leaving the Forbidden City, Puyi moved from place to place. In 1959, he was granted amnesty and became an ordinary citizen. He later took on roles such as a member of the Central Research Institute of Culture and History, beginning a life completely different from his past. Puyi's life was full of legendary moments. He married 4 times and had 5 wives. In 1962, he married Li Shuxian, his last wife. On October 17, 1967, Puyi died of uremia in Beijing at the age of 61. He was initially buried in Babaishan, but in 1995, his remains were relocated to the Western Qing tombs and the nearby Hualong Royal Cemetery. Puyi also wrote an autobiography, The First Half of My Life, which was published in April 1964. The book records his dramatic life journey from emperor to ordinary citizen. His experiences have been adapted into numerous historical films and television series. This is the History and Culture channel. Liking and subscribing are the greatest help and support to us. Thank you everyone and see you in the next time.